social distancing. I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. What's your name?
John Gidry.
John Gidry, our first one of the night. Here we go. Boom, there you go, John.
I'm going to be completely honest with you, I'm tired of being disrespected. So there was no question I was going to play this year.
We are now the Las Vegas Raiders.
Welcome into another episode of Vegas Nation Blitz. I am your host, Cassie Soto. We usually would start things off with a Raiders game recap, but this week things are a little bit different as the Raiders could be in a bit of trouble after a gala was hosted on Monday night where we saw multiple Raiders players in attendance without wearing any masks. Joining me now is Las Vegas Review-Journal Raiders beat writer Vinny Bonsignore. Vinny, the whole purpose of this event was really great, had really great meaning to raise money for kids for the Darren Waller Foundation that are struggling with substance abuse. Instead, we're talking about players not wearing masks. This is not a good look for the Raiders.
Yeah, and to reiterate, it was certainly for a good look, and we're all, from a human standpoint, rooting for Darren Waller and hoping that his foundation meets its objectives and helps as many kids as possible. There's no question about that. This was a situation where players were doing a good deed and helping a teammate for a really good cause, but there's rules and regulations, there's protocols, not just from a state and city standpoint, but from the NFL and the NFL Players Association. There are rules and regulations that they agreed to in July that frankly cover this very type of a situation. The amount of people that were there, the type of event it was, no masks being worn, social distancing protocols at least appearing not to be adhered to. Sometimes these things aren't done by the team; it's done by the player and their management and their people that put these type of things together. And again, it was a good deed. But it looks like some rules were broken, and we'll have to see where the NFL and, frankly, at this point now, the state and city, where they fall in terms of if there's going to be any repercussions or penalties.
All right. Well, you mentioned the NFL as a whole, Vinny. So this event was held on Monday night. On Tuesday morning, we find out that the Titans and the Vikings have both had to shut down their facilities due to positive cases. What would something like that mean for the Raiders now?
Well, that's a really good question, because what's really alarming is that it wasn't just players that were involved. Those guys get tested every single day. There were a lot of people that were in attendance at that country club that, based on what I saw on the videos, they weren't wearing their masks. And so who are those people? Were they tested? Did they even fill out any questionnaires as we normally do? When we go into stadiums, we have to fill out questionnaires. When we go into the practice facility, we have an app on our phone that asks us these questions on a daily basis. We have our temperatures taken not once but twice going into the building over in Henderson. Those are the questions that I have is were any rules, any state rules, any league rules followed for this thing? Again, it was a really good cause, but we're in difficult times right now, and there's rules and regulations in place for a reason. And so I don't know where the NFL, I have a call out to the NFL right now where they're going to fall on this, but based on what I saw, the Raiders could be in some hot water here.
Do we think fines could come for this event?
Well, based on what the outline by the Players Association and the NFL, which again, that's collectively bargained. That's an agreement between the owners and the players. Everybody signed off on that. And yes, there were suspension possibilities and fine possibilities or fine possibilities that covered all of these forbidden activities that players are not allowed to do. One of them is going to a nightclub, going to a restaurant to pick up food, to eat. I mean, they covered everything. So based on that video, it sure seems like that type of an event and that type of a gathering fell into one of those categories that it was very clear what you could and couldn't do. So we'll see. Yes, and so to answer your question, yes. Fines and or suspensions are a possibility. So we'll have to see if any of those are in order, for the Raider players.
Well, Well, again, it is unfortunate that we're not talking about how much money Darren Waller raised for his incredible foundation. Instead, we're talking about the players not wearing masks. Vinny, thank you so much. We look forward to hearing the rest of the updates that will probably and most definitely come with this story. Thank you again.
All right, thank you.
In other NFL news, Chicago Bears coach Matt Nagy said Nick Foles is the new starting quarterback. Foles replaced Mitch Trubisky during Sunday's win against the Atlanta Falcons. Denver Broncos defensive end Jurrell Casey will miss the rest of the season after tearing his biceps on Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Harris County officials have given the Houston Texans permission to have up to 15,000 fans in the stands this Sunday against the Minnesota Vikings. Let's check in on Raiders social media to see how the players reacted after the team's first loss on Sunday with Las Vegas Review-Journal sports journalist Leandre Foxdre. I cannot imagine that the Raiders were happy with the team's results, but I'm sure they're ready to move on and learn from this game on Sunday.
It was a tough loss. They lost to the Patriots, and they were in the game, but it was a really tough loss for them. And we were always talking about the first game as the Las Vegas Raiders, the first game in Allegiant Stadium, and now it's a negative. They suffered their first loss. And a bunch of the second-year players, I think they really took this to heart. We saw Jonathan Abrams saying that there are lessons to be learned. Max Crosby saying that we have to be better. And Trayvon Mullen was like, hey, guys, we're going to bounce back. And I think the second-year players are really feeling the impacts of this because they were the last class to be in Oakland, and they had the playoffs kind of taken away from them late in the season. So now they're here trying to clean the slate and, get off on the right foot, and they suffered their first loss. I think they're really feeling that as the second-year players.
Well, a few stats were sort of overshadowed by the team's loss. So can you please tell us who had a record-setting day on Sunday?
Derek Carr, DC4, up there in New England, breaking a couple records in that loss. So he is now the second in all-time passing career touchdowns with the Raiders, tied with Darryl LaMonica behind Ken Stabler. And he is also number one in starts for the Raiders at quarterback with 97.
Great. Thank you so much for these social media updates, as always.
Thanks, Cassie.
We're going to take a quick break, but we will be right back with more. Stay with us. Which Raiders quarterback has thrown for the most yards in a single game? Was it A, Derek Carr, B, Rich Gannon, C, Darryl LaMonica, or D, Jim Plunkett?
Stay on the winning page with Fan Fave Las Vegas Review-Journal to receive Vegas Nation content, plus breaking news, local entertainment, and lifestyle coverage. For only 99 cents a week, you'll get home delivery plus unlimited access to LVRJ.com. However you like it, whenever you like it. Award-winning content, all at your fingertips. Subscribe today at mylvrj.com/superfan.
Get the Vegas Nation podcast 3 days a week. All things Raiders, all week long. The Vegas Nation podcast, powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Now 3 days a week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Raiders analysis.
Mark Davis looking out for the fans.
Interviews.
How do you look at this season coming up?
I'm going to be a much better player.
NFL talk.
The Cowboys are not a legit contender
on paper,
either.
They are, my friend.
They're not.
Find all our podcasts on VegasNation.com and hit subscribe. Raiders, fast takes, smart coverage.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Vegas Nation Blitz. Cassie Soto alongside Ed Graney, the sports columnist for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Ed, on Monday night, Raiders tight end Darren Waller held his first ever gala for it was called the Beyond the Wall Gala for his Darren Waller Foundation at the Dragon Ridge Country Club in Henderson, Nevada. And its goal was to raise money for his foundation that aims to help substance abuse in young adults, to put them on the right path. Well, Ed, instead of talking about how much money Darren Waller and his teammates were able to raise for his foundation, we're talking about the fact that Raiders players were not wearing masks at this event.
Yeah, exactly. And you hit it on the head. I mean, we should be talking about the foundation and all this guy's trying to do with kids. He's a substance survivor himself. We know that, and how many times he was suspended. And he's overcome it, but we're not. You were there. You did great video. And when I saw your video last night, I don't know what you thought, but, look, I don't know if it's arrogance. I don't know if it's cluelessness. I don't know if it's stupidity. I don't know what it is. The bottom line is it's horrible optics. It's a bad look when you have that many people from the public in a room with NFL players who are tested every day, whose coach had the coronavirus, who are told these are the protocols, and they don't have masks on. It is a bad look when a quarterback like Derek Carr is photographed standing right next to, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, what appeared to be someone who won an auction item. I don't know what's wrong with this team because, like you said, they're investigating about having someone in the locker room they shouldn't. They're at parties without masks on. Gruden is fined for not having a mask on. I just don't understand at this point why they're just not doing what they're supposed to do. I don't want to give them the benefit of that. I just want to say, look, the bad part is they were there to help their teammate, to support Darren Waller, to try to raise money. It's a big deal when Derek Carr comes somewhere, and I know you had him on a video, Cassie, of throwing a ball. That's awesome. But you got to have a mask on. You have to give the appearance at least that you are being safe and you know what you should do. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if the government will fine Dragon Ridge like they did the place in Anderson where Trump spoke. I don't know. That's a governmental issue. I don't know what the NFL will do. You and I both know the NFL has either your video or other video of this. So they could be fined for that. And if they're fined, you know what? I'm sorry. I have no problem with them being fined. Wear your mask.
Right. Well, you mentioned Derek Carr, so obviously the first string quarterback there. Nate Peterman was also there. So what kind of issue does that pose here, Ed?
Well, I mean, if he stood next to someone and gets it, I guess it doesn't matter who gets it, Carr or Peterman. But I will say this, given Marcus Mariota is still on the IR, do you want both quarterbacks in the same place at the same time? Because the other guy's hurt. So, I know Jason Witten was there. Jason Witten's a vet. How old is Jason Witten? His late 30s? Is he 40? I mean, he's old enough, obviously, to say, hey, guys, I have a family, you have a family, let's put some masks on. You told me, I didn't know this, that Jay Schrader, the former quarterback, was there. Where's Jay Schrader been? Has he been tested like every other NFL player? He's a former player. Probably not. The average person, which he is now, he's not in the league anymore, is not tested every day. It was bad optics. It's a bad look for them. I feel horrible for the foundation because it's a great foundation. And, I've known young adults with substance abuse problems, and a foundation like this could have really helped them. So you want that to be the story the next day. You don't want it to be that you and I and everyone else is talking about a bunch of guys who should have had masks on and didn't.
Right. Well, another big thing to note that I noticed also when I was tweeting out the videos that I did, the Darren Waller Foundation was also tweeting out videos and pictures from the event. Well, come Tuesday morning, those videos have since been deleted. Ed, What does that say to you right there?
Well, one probably says they're trying to protect their guy. It's his foundation. They know this is an issue. They saw across social media, this is an issue. Take it down. It's almost worse when you do that, though. I mean, it happened. Everyone knows they didn't have masks on. They saw your video. They might have seen others, although I thought you did the best job in terms of videos. If they saw your video, it's out there. Once it's out there, when you start deleting stuff, now you're saying we messed up. I don't know if you do that. Keep them out there. They're either going to get fined or they're not based on your video. So it doesn't really matter if you delete it. But, I know they're trying to protect their guy. I get that. But it's a bad look. It's almost like when you do something and public perception makes you apologize right away. Like I always say, don't apologize if that's how you think. We might not agree with it, but look, that's how you think. So if you did this foundation dinner for Darren Waller and you have all these pictures of who he's helping, keep them up there because you know what? Once your video hit the wires, your Cassie's video, it doesn't matter anymore. Everyone's going to know.
Well, again, it is unfortunate. Darren Waller trying to put on such a good benefit here to help raise money for his foundation. We'll see what happens moving forward. Hopefully it'll be, just a Skype, maybe gala, him at home, everybody just Skyping in. We'll see what happens moving forward. Ed, thank you so much.
Thanks, Cass.
We will be right back with more. The answer is A, Derek Carr. Carr set the franchise record by throwing for 513 yards to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in 2016.
Welcome back to the Vegas Nation Blitz. It's your Vegas Nation podcast host here, Heidi Fang, and I'm joined with our NFL and Raiders writer, Adam Hill. We're going to break down the AFC West for you right now. Still looking like the Kansas City Chiefs will remain the kings of this division after their performance against Baltimore on Monday Night Football. Adam, what have you made when you look around the division and seen what these teams are doing?
Well, so much speculation before the year, so much of the talk was, can anybody compete with the Chiefs? So far, the answer is really no. I mean, if you look in the standings, the Raiders are pretty happy to be 2-1 and kind of in that mix right now. But the Chiefs have shown how dominant they are in this division. In fact, this weekend, the Chiefs were the only AFC West team to come away with a victory. We know that they had that big showdown with Baltimore, the two best teams in the AFC, and Kansas City showed why they are the defending champs, why are they the favorites to do it again. Denver just has all kinds of injuries. They are a complete mess, and we'll get to see them on Thursday Night Football in a very, very crazy game against the Jets, two teams that are really desperate for a victory. And then the Chargers with Justin Herbert, we are seeing once again why he's a rookie that they did not feel comfortable necessarily starting from day one. They had hopes to be a playoff team. He is showing why he's a first-round pick. Ton of talent, ton of ability. He can move the ball. He can do some special things. But the turnovers are a real factor. The turnovers the last 2 weeks, really why they were not able to come away with wins. Without the turnovers, they're probably a 3-0 team. But Justin Herbert has turned the ball over a few times and kind of shown why he might not be fully ready to be a starter.
So now we look ahead to the next week, week 4 coming up here just around the corner. Adam, what do you make of this week? Is there any team that stands out to you that has a really good matchup for them? You just mentioned the Broncos there, but aside from them, is there somebody else that you might be looking at this week?
Yeah, Broncos have an opportunity to get a win. They're going on the road against the Jets. Maybe they can get that victory in a primetime spot. The Chiefs have another big showdown. The Patriots come into town. We saw the Patriots, what they did against the Raiders last week. An opportunity for the Patriots to maybe make a statement that they're still a factor in the AFC. But the Chiefs, once again, a pretty sizable favorite in that game. The Chargers go on the road to play Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers in Florida. And that's a team the Raiders will see very soon, too. So a lot of eyes probably on that game for Raiders fans, knowing that you got 2 games against the Chargers coming up and 1 against the Buccaneers.
Yeah, and this week in history, actually, we look back at Jon Gruden's stint with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this moment in Raiders history. In this episode of Raiders History, we look at what happened to Jon Gruden after he was traded to the Buccaneers. In the aftermath of the Tuck Rule game, Gruden was traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for an unprecedented 2 first-round draft picks, 2 second-round draft picks, and $8 million. Gruden not only led the Bucs to their first Super Bowl, but it could also be argued that 2 Gruden-coached teams ended up in the Super Bowl in the 2002 season. On January 26, 2003, the 39-year-old Gruden became the youngest coach to win a Super Bowl. The final score, 48-21, was the 7th largest margin of victory for any team in Super Bowl history. Super Bowl 37 is often referred to by many names: the Gruden Bowl, the Pirate Bowl, and the Chucky Bowl. Though the Raiders were favored by 4 points, Gruden's Bucs would intercept Rich Gannon a record 5 times and return 3 of those for touchdowns. 2 were scored by safety Dexter Jackson, who went on to be the MVP of that game. The Bucs defense also sacked Gannon 5 times. In all, the Bucs scored 34 unanswered points. To top it off, the Raiders' signals and play calls that were installed by Jon Gruden had not been changed, making it easy for Gruden's defense to dial up plays that would make the offense pay. Jon Gruden would coach the Bucs until 2008. In 2009, Jon Gruden took a role with ESPN for Monday Night Football's broadcast as a color analyst, a role he held on to until he returned to coach the Raiders in 2018. And that'll do it for this moment in Raiders history. We'll be back next week.
Stay on the winning page with Fan Fave Las Vegas Review Journal to receive Vegas Nation content, plus breaking news, local entertainment, and lifestyle coverage. For only 99 cents a week, you'll get home delivery plus unlimited access to LVRJ.com. However you like it, whenever you like it. Award-winning content, all at your fingertips. Subscribe today at mylvrj.com/superfan.
Get the Vegas Nation podcast 3 days a week. All things Raiders, all week long. The Vegas Nation podcast, powered by the Las Vegas Review Journal. Now 3 days a week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Raiders analysis.
Mark Davis looking out for the fans.
Interviews.
How do you look at this season coming up?
I'm going to be a much better player.
NFL talk.
The Cowboys are not a legit contender
on paper,
either.
They are, my friend.
They're not.
Find all our podcasts on VegasNation.com and hit subscribe. Raiders, fast takes, smart coverage.
The Raiders' move to Las Vegas has not only been positive for the local fan base here in town, it's also been positive for the Raiders' bank account, as the team's value has continued to soar. Here to tell us some more about that is Allegiant Stadium insider for the Las Vegas Review Journal, Mick. Akers. Mick, can you just tell us how the Raiders' evaluation has continued to be on the come-up, really, since the team started talking about relocating since 2016?
Yeah, actually, that was when the talks heated up in 2016. So the year before, in 2015, their value was at like $1.4 billion, which was 31st out of the 32 NFL teams. But then each year after that, once these talks started heating up, and then they officially announced they were moving here, and the plans of the stadium were popping up and all that. Their values has been going up. So now it's up 111% since then, sitting at $3.1 billion. So ranked number 12 in the NFL right now. So obviously they went from the bottom towards, working their way up to the top. So obviously their $2 billion stadium coming online, sponsorships with that, all the founding sponsors and such. And then the PSL sales, since they sold out, that obviously played into as well. So, looking, pretty rosy for the Raiders here in Vegas.
Well, we know having fans in the stadium would have probably helped with that evaluation a little bit more, give it a boost there. But the team is still coming up with some ways to try to make money this season. Can you tell us about the new tailgate watch party packages that the team has come up with?
Yeah, so those kicked off this past week, for the game against the Patriots. So they take the parking lot where people are parking right now to go in the Raider image on the north end. They block that off, and they give people 2 spaces. You can pay $400 or $500. You can have up to 5 people in your car. The $500 one just guarantees you a front row spot in front of the massive LED screen where they have the game shown. So you get a spot for your car, and then 1 spot for your tailgate action. They have tents up and all that. You get a food and beverage package, and fans can also bring their own beverages because they don't serve alcohol there. So you can bring your own. So obviously, it goes hand in hand, some, beer and football. So obviously fans can do that.
Well, Mick, you were out at Allegiant Stadium for the home opener for the Raiders, and just a few Raider Nation fans showed up for that game. Do you think that it'll be like that again, where fans can come in and set up a TV outside of the stadium, or do you think that security might be a little more tight come this Sunday?
Yeah, I would assume that was a one-time thing, just to let people enjoy the opening of Las Vegas Raiders and the Allegiant Stadium. Like you said, there was people out there watching. There was a couple hundred people watching on this small TV, so everyone was having a good time, cheering and all that. So it was awesome. It was a cool scene and all. But people were parking all over the place in the middle of the road and the side of the road. So obviously it was creating a little bit of a dangerous situation there. So I'm going to assume that no, because even in the tailgating email about the tailgate zone package, it says there is no tailgating or spectating in or around anywhere else in the stadium. So I think that was the message they're sending out there, saying, hey, that was a cool first thing to do, but don't come back and do it again. So I would assume that they won't. And they also had fences set up on Al Davis Way on Saturday ahead of Sunday's tailgate zone action. And so I'm thinking they're going to close those gates so you can't access the area, especially with vehicles at that time. So, it looks like they're going to try and, cut that band, hanging out outside of the stadium out, because obviously COVID issues as well, people more social distancing and such. So, it was a cool thing to see for the first game, but I don't think it'll go into the further weeks or anything like that.
Oh, it looks like Raider Nation might have to find somewhere else to watch this Sunday's game. Mick, thank you so much, as always.
Thanks, Cassie.
That will do it for another episode of Vegas Nation Blitz. We hope you're enjoying our coverage. So go ahead and tune in with us on Sundays for Vegas Nation Game Day, as we'll give you everything you need to know about the Raiders and Bills this Sunday. That's at 9 a.m. on Cox Your View, Channel 14. We're also live streaming that on our Vegas Nation Facebook page. For our Vegas Nation crew, I'm Cassie Soto. Thanks for watching.